afternoon, YouTuberenos. We have Thomas, Daniel, and we have a very special guest here. I'll introduce him in just a minute. Thomas, greet the viewers, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And on FaceTime with us today, we mentioned this would be happening, and he is with us now. We have the manager of 98.6 The Mix, Mr. Herbie Allen. Herbie, welcome to Daniel Summer Productions, and thank you for taking the time to do this once again.
Most definitely. Thank you for having me on.
So, Thomas, if you want to start with the question, go ahead.
Sure. So, how long did it take to do to make the jingles?
Hold on, I'm trying to switch devices here so I can a little bit better. And there we go. Okay, go ahead and repeat that one more time. Sorry.
I was just wondering, how long did it take to make the jingles, and who made them?
So that would be my friend Nick Baker, and he's made a lot of jingles over the years. How long does it take him? I've seen him in action a little bit, so I'd say it takes him, about several hours maybe. He actually does like up to 8-part harmonies. So.
No kidding! Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
And he also creates the music with some MIDI keyboards and all that type of thing. So it's pretty incredible what he does.
Absolutely.
And guys, if you're listening to this on the 98.6 The Mix version on Sunday, you'll get to hear some of the great work that he does.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't do that on YouTube.
I don't have the permission to air them here, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But if you are listening on the mix version, you will hear some of the amazing work he does.
Yep.
Now, Herbie, you were born and raised in Texas, correct?
No, I actually was not.
Oh.
No. Just because one lives in a certain place doesn't mean that that's where they've always been. I was actually, mine's a very complicated history. So, there's multiple assets of it. So, first of all, my mom is British, my dad is American, and my dad also served in the Air Force for 22 years.
Wow.
So,
that's awesome.
Yep. So I was born in Mississippi, Columbus, Mississippi, actually. But I actually was only there for about 9 weeks, so don't remember it too well. Just a little bit too young.
Yeah.
So lived in England. We were stationed in England for 4 years, so that's where I first, grew up, and I do remember a lot of that very well. I lived in Florida for about 12 years. Well, more like 11, but yeah. And then Washington State for 7 years, and then my ex-girlfriend and I moved to Minnesota and to live with some people there for a while before moving out on our own there. And then later on my wife, well, before she was my wife, we moved to Texas. That's a whole other story in itself. But we would move to Houston in 2011, and part of what chased us away from Minnesota, especially for me, was the very cold Minnesota brutal winters.
I can't say I blame you there.
Yep.
Thomas, go ahead.
So,
I'm sorry for reading.
So we lived in Houston since 2011. So.
Okay.
How did you? My other question for you is, how did you get into radio?
Well, that is an interesting story. So, of course, growing up, I always wanted to be in radio, but back in my day, which was the late 1980s, it was not the internet that I dreamed about being on. I didn't even know about an internet. And, of course, the internet, as we know it didn't exist back then anyway. There wasn't a
Right.
World Wide Web until 1995. So
Right.
when I dreamed of being on radio, that was, it was literally being on true radio with being in a radio station and things like that. So, always dreamed about that. And then it didn't, though, I'd always wanted to learn how to broadcast over the internet once, that became a thing. But I did not learn until 2007. Somebody, even though I didn't really get taught, I just had some basic getting started guides. ACB Media at the time, we had like a guide on how you get, just some basics on how to get started with broadcasting. So I taught myself first how to use Winamp at the time, then this other piece of software called Sam Broadcaster, and the station playlist. But I would start my first internet station in 2007, even when I barely knew what I was doing myself.
Now, when did you first start with 98.6 Mix?
So 96 Mix, I started it in late 2014. Because what had happened was I've run several stations over the years.
Yeah.
Hot 979, K5's Radio, WR979. Well, that last station I ended up quitting it around the time that we moved to Texas because I had other priorities and my radio station was not one of them. Yeah. And I worked for another station for a while. They decided that they were going to shut down. Oh. And so I decided I'd try one more radio station and see how it worked out. And so I asked people to come up with ideas, and my friend Nick actually came up with the idea of 98.6 Mix. So I said, okay, let's run with it. And, well, we're still here today.
Right.
Yep. Now, what do you think is your favorite part? Being the manager, what do you think is your favorite part of 98.6 Mix?
I think one of my favorite parts is having, it's tricky because backpack makes things difficult and stuff like that, but in general, I think one of my favorite parts has been giving people the opportunity to broadcast that might not have had the ability or place to. It's given a lot of people over the years a taste of what it is like to broadcast. Yeah. And I think that's good that we can do that on video. So.
Yeah.
Now, how many different countries of people broadcast from the Mix? Is it just from the US or?
Let me think here. We've had Canada, definitely. We've had Barbados once. Wow. Let's see. Trying to think what other countries. We've had, not Mexico itself, but definitely Mexican culture represented.
Yeah.
I know we've had a couple of people apply from, several European countries, and it just didn't work out because of, the time difference was too great for them to work with.
Yeah.
So, we've had a couple of countries, but Canada, of course, is, the most, has been the most common.
Would you say for now, though, it's pretty much all U.S.?
For now it is, yes. But we definitely take anybody from any country. We're not, it's always exciting when we do get people from other countries.
Thomas, do you want to ask a question? Go ahead.
Sure. So how long did it take to put up the servers in the radio station?
I was going to say, I could imagine that took a lot of work, right?
No, because what we do is we don't build our own server. We purchase a server from a third party.
Okay.
So I've known of other stations, they try to build their own servers and stuff like that. It kind of doesn't work out too well. One of the things that I think has kept us stable is we rely strictly on a third party for our server. We rely on another third party for our TikTok server, and they're an actual dedicated company. It's not like a friend running a server out of their basement. It's an actual dedicated hosting, company. And in our case, it's Brightside Networks. They used to be somebody else back in the day, but it's a small company. It's not a large company or anything like that. But they do the work in putting up the server. We rent the web space from Jared Weimer, who has his own web server on the company. So we had an infrastructure because of Jared and I had worked together in the past.
Yeah.
And running several stations, it really only took about a day to get things up and running because we had an infrastructure that we to work with. We knew what we were doing, that type of thing. So I think I purchased the server on Wednesday. I think it was activated by Thursday, and we made sure things were working. And I did the first show on Sunday evening. So because of that, it really didn't take that long because of that.
Now, what do you play in your show? For those who don't know, what do you do on your show?
So my show is a variety show. It's called the Herbie Show. You can check it out, by the way, on every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Central Time at 986themix.com. Some weeks it's anything goes, and then some weeks it is theme based. So we've done themes from different decades to genres to. I'm going to be doing one on songwriters performing their own songs. I do a set of features that is so we have Compare the Difference, where you hear 2 or 3 different versions of the same song. We do a gospel set. I do art spotlight, where I focus on an artist from 2 different their work from 2 different decades, so you kind of get to hear how they've evolved. We do original versus parody, where we hear an original song and then a parody from a number of people, primarily Weird Al, Cletus T. Judd. I do original versus sample, where we hear an original song and then a song that has usually a hip hop song that has borrowed part of the original to make themselves a hit. And we do same title, different song, where you get 2 or 3 different songs. And the one thing they have in common is the same title. But everything,
So it's the same title, but the song itself is completely different.
Exactly.
And how do you decide what theme you're going to do per week? Is that something you just use for the moment? Or do you have a calendar that you make?
I usually try to decide these things out in advance. Sometimes they're based on requests that I've gotten. Sometimes I'll plan at least a month or 2 ahead. Okay, I know I want to do X and Y theme. Some of my bigger ones are planned out several months in ahead. So if it's going to be series, so for instance. I did a series once on electronic music through the decades, and I knew at least several months in advance I was going to do that on such and such date. So I usually plan out the themes a month or 2 in advance. But sometimes things will change, and for various reasons, I might move a theme up. Recently, I was going to do country a little bit later on, but then somebody requested that I move it up for their birthday, so I did. And so we can be flexible on the show too when it's needed.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Okay. My question is, another one of my questions is, so your show. So did you have to apply to do your show and read the rules? You know.
Well, since it's my station, I guess I can fill out my own application. And that would be an interesting thing. Maybe I should do that. The answer is no. Back when I started, we barely had an application. We barely had, some of the rules didn't even exist back when I started. So the answer is no. But
no.
Maybe I should.
Now, did you write the application and the rules?
Yes. They are the application, and we do have to do some updates to it because Skype is no longer a thing and whatever. But yeah, we wrote the application and the rules. Some of the rules are put in based on some experiences we've had.
Oh my!
But, yeah. For instance, we had to put in a rule about not forcing people to share licenses and stuff because I had somebody that applied and was just expected us to hand out a license to Station Playlist, and no, we don't do it that way.
Yikes!
Oh dear.
Yeah. So, we put that in there. But we've not had to do any major updates to the rules in several years, which is rather nice. So.
Okay.
Knocking on the wood, you don't have to.
Well, the word won't affect it's circumstances that affect if we have to make any adjustments or not.
This is true.
Yeah. And the other question that just popped into my brain is, this is actually something that I asked Daniel out of curiosity last Thursday, but he didn't know the answer. So once someone gets fired, is that it, or do they get another? Do they get another chance, or once they're fired, they're done?
Great question. So first of all, I am proud to say that we have done a very minimal amount of firings on the mix.
Oh, that's awesome.
And in most cases, it's usually been because what people do is they pull disappearing acts where they no longer show up and we don't hear from them.
Oh.
And so, but if somebody gets fired, it's a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on why they've gotten fired, DJ Sawwalk is a case of somebody that did get fired early on for some extraneous circumstances, but a number of years passed, and she'd done other things to show us, that through other things that she'd kind of learned her lesson, and so we were willing to give her another chance.
Okay.
And that has worked out really well. There's been some other people that I don't know if I'll ever let back on to the mix because of some circumstances that I'm definitely not going to go into here.
Right.
So it really is a case-by-case basis, and a lot of it has to do with why did you get fired, and it really is case-by-case.
Gotcha.
So it depends on the severity of what's happened as to whether you'd be allowed back.
Yeah. I'll say this much though, if it's because you didn't do shows and you're gonna have a much better chance of getting back on versus if it's a case of harassment. That's gonna be a lot harder for you to come back.
Right.
Yes.
Now, two questions. First, let's say you are fired.
And I'll just point out this, the amount of people we've actually fired.
Yeah.
Including those that we've let come back, I think has been about 4, maybe 5.
Dang.
Oh, okay. That's not much at all. Okay.
Yeah, so you have to. It has to be really bad for you to get fired. I don't fire people easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, let's say
Anyway, good.
let's say you do get fired. Do you get notified of such, or are you just?
We just locked you out completely. One day you find out that you're. We again, because if you get fired, it's something pretty big. But we let the people know. Sometimes it's email sufficient, and we've also done it by phone call. But we do actually let the person know that they've been fired. Because we do let them know.
Yeah. And then
we do it normally by email because that way there's actually a written record of the fact that
said person was fired.
Yeah.
Now, as far as promos, how do you make it so that you have the original? For instance, how does it work so that you're talking and then saying Nick is talking? Does he record on his side and mix it, or how does that all?
So he does his recordings and then I do the final mixing, including inserting my voice. But sometimes he might do something extra. But he sends me the recording of him, and then I just put my voice in or song clips depending on what's needed, and then I'll send it back to him for final approval, and we go from there.
Now, do you use Zoom to do all that, or is that on a FaceTime call, or?
No, that's actually the actual recorded file. So he'll make a recording.
No, I'm saying like when you go to record, do you use Zoom or?
No, I just use a recording program on my computer.
Wow, that's crazy because it sounds like you're on a call, but you're not.
No, you're not.
Wow. Go ahead, Thomas.
Who came up with the names for the jingles?
Nick does.
Nick does? Okay.
That's all Nick, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yep, the jingles are all Nick. There are a handful of some freeware stuff that I've gotten over the years that are not Nick. Mm-hmm. But the majority of them are. And,
do you have a favorite jingle? Or do you like them all?
Well, no, I like them all. I'm like on the ones with many, of course, but One of my favorites actually is it's one where he tries to imitate C-3PO and R2-D2.
Oh my god, that one is funny.
So that would actually be my favorite one.
Now, my favorite one is, and this became my favorite one recently. I mean, I love all the jingles. But my favorite one is when he goes KMS.
Yep.
Yes.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Herbie, do you mind if, just for the purposes of this stream, I play that R2-D2 one real quick?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Hold on. Now, viewers, for those of you who are watching, this is being done with permission, so I'm not just out playing these for fun. I'm playing you this specifically with Herbie's permission. So, but the one I'm about to play is the one he's talking about. So, hold on. If I can find it. There it is.
3PO, human spy for relations. You're listening to the station that plays the best variety of music from yesterday and today. That's right, Artu. 98.6, The Mix. Oh my!
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yep.
Yep. And I have to say, my favorite promo is the one that you guys did for Patrick. I'm not going to say his whole name on camera, but Patrick H.
Yeah, Country Through the Years, yeah.
Yes, country.
That's my favorite promo.
Okay.
Does he still do his show every Tuesday night?
Yep, from 5 to 8.
Okay.
He won't be on this Tuesday, but yes, he does do his show.
How long did it take to make the all the promos?
Well, the promos are made at different times. They've not been made all at once.
Oh, right.
Some take longer than others. If I have to do song clips, those take a lot longer than ones where I just have to insert, voice clips or whatever. So it really just depends.
Now, of all the shows on the mix, what do you think? And maybe this is me being biased. What do you think is your favorite?
So I think my favorite would be Scotty's Record Shop. He does it most Saturday nights at 8 to 10. Used to be 8 to 11. That has been a very unique show because, like me, he's an oldies person. Tried to get him into more 80s, but I failed there. But over the years, he's done things like play things from his personal vinyl collection, and some pretty unique stuff. Right now, he focuses just more on like past billboards or whatever. So I'd say that, and then Nick's Musical Memories, which is the show that Nick Baker does. That's a pretty unique show as well.
Now, back to you for a second. What?
Last track with DJ Sawak would be my third. It's kind of,
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
What? You were being you saying you were being an oldies person. So, did you listen to a lot of oldies like growing up with your family and stuff?
I got into oldies thanks to my first girlfriend. Back when I was 12.
Okay.
And it's kind of a long story, but because she kind of got me into them before then, but I really got into them when I was 12, and I never looked back. So,
what was the music you'd listen to with family like growing up?
Family, we never really listened to. I mean, growing up, it was just the music of the day.
Yeah.
But I got into country. They didn't. I did get into country when I was 10. Yeah, it was more of the music of the day, though I did get into my parents' record collection as a teenager, so that was kind of fun.
Now, what type of country do you like, personally?
I like more older country, so country no later than the night. Well, I do listen to some country from the 2000s and beyond, so it's not fair to say that I don't like it. I'm not as my memories are especially 90s country, so that would be my favorite.
So like Alan Jackson and
Garth Brooks.
Oh, I love Tim McGraw. Yep. Tracy Lawrence.
Yep.
Yeah, my favorite old country singer is Randy Travis.
Yep, he's good too.
Yep.
Now, what would you say you play a variety of music on your show? And
yes.
Is there anything you don't play? Let me ask you that.
I am not a big fan of playing heavy metal, and with a few exceptions, I generally shy away from
Rap.
Songs that have adult content, especially rap, anything sexually explicit. There are some occasions when I have broken that rule for several reasons. Either A, I will generally acknowledge people's requests, or if it fits some of my features, because with hip hop and stuff, with the original versus sample.
Yeah.
The one time that I definitely did it for original versus parody is R. Kelly did a song called a soap opera called "Trapped in the Closet."
Yeah.
And Weird Al did "Trapped in the Drive-Thru," and I did showcase the original "Trapped in the Closet" first before "Trapped in the Drive-Thru." So there are occasional times when I will play something, but on the whole, I generally try to keep it more something that anybody can listen to.
And now you do all that with station playlists, right? Or do you use Backpack?
Yep.
Station
I do
playlists.
it on
Nice.
the station playlist. Yep.
Nice. What do you? Well, if there is someone who wants to get in radio, what piece of advice do you think you'd give?
Well, okay, my piece of advice and my recent experiences with Thomas definitely showcase this point. If you want to, first and foremost, I'd say if you have a computer, you're going to, I think, have the best experience. If you're an Android user, I have no idea what to tell you. Sorry. I don't know if there's Backpack for Android computer stuff.
Oops.
Backpack for iPhone, yeah. Backpack for iPhone, it still works. I don't know if the app developer is making any updates with it or not.
Actually, version 3 is in beta.
Okay. So maybe that might fix some of the issues, like Thomas was trying to go live last week, and we were not hearing anything whatsoever, so he's having to do pre-recorded. But for you, it does seem to still work, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say it's live and kicking for me, so.
I don't know if you bribed the developer or something, but.
No.
Now I have a question about the request. So, how did you guys get to get ELEXA to say, "Hi, this is Alexa. You are listening to," and that and how did you guys make Samantha count? How did you guys make her be able to count down from 3, 2, 1?
Request queue in 3, 2.
So the Samantha one is one of the freeware ones that I got, so I didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
Alexa has a little skill called Simon Says.
Oh yes, I use that all the time. I love it.
Yeah, so it was a simple matter of you just use the Simon Says skill to have her say what you want.
Right.
I could have also done it in a routine where I really had it written out, and that might have been easier in some ways, but at the time I didn't know how to do that. I just, so what I would do is I would use Simon Says and then record it, repeating back what it was saying, and then I'd go back through and make the edits afterwards, so.
Gotcha.
Wow, okay.
Where did the alert sounds come from? For example, when Nick says, "Alert!
This is not a test. This is another KKMX instant request."
Yep.
I can't remember if I gave him some of those sound effects or if he already had them.
Okay.
But I find I want to say that's one that I found originally, so that's an alarm sound that I found off of YouTube.
Then the other one I had a question about is when it said, "And now another instant request." Is that a real person?
I want to say that is, but again, that's one of those freeware ones, so.
Okay.
I didn't have anything to do with the production of that one, so.
Gotcha.
Most of the request ones are that are freeware ones that I got from other places that are just universal. They don't,
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, do you have any funny on-air moments that have happened to your show that you look back on it now and you can't help but laugh? Any funny on-air bloopers?
The show has, so I've done the show for so long that there's no way to keep track. There's nothing that really stands out.
Yeah.
The show just goes how it goes. I'll tell you one of the perhaps the most memorable ones is, I had a DJ once when we started on Teen Talk back in 2016, intentionally trying to make me laugh when doing some of my voice breaks. But, the show's not necessarily, I too try to be professional, but, stuff happens. And, the show just rolls how it rolls.
Yeah, one of my biggest, as far as the Daniel Summer Radio Show goes, was I was on air. I think this was sometime last year, and my mom's in here cooking bacon, and next thing I know, I'm in the middle of a voice break. The smoke detector goes blaring. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, but I've had that happen too. More so, when I visited my parents, I do remember one time doing a show and my mom was making dinner and the smoke I don't remember if my mic was live or not, but yeah, things like that have happened.
I remember it was the other night, I was trying to pre-record my show with Daniel, and I was in the middle of a voice break, and my stupid iPad said, was it the iPad? Yeah, it was my phone that said one unread message. I'm like, that's not supposed to be on the air. Like, really stupid.
Yeah, I've had things happen from phone calls. I've had things happen from the computer deciding that Windows would now be a good time to do an update. So,
great.
Yeah. I've gotten cut off in the middle of shows. You broadcast for over 10 years. You have, I think you see it all, or if not at all, then very close to it all.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. Now, you use Windows primarily, right? Or are you a Mac user?
For broadcasting, I prefer Windows, but for computer use in general, I prefer the Mac. That being said, I do stuff with Audio Hijack, but I don't like to do music broadcasts with it. I prefer Audio Hijack for situations where I'm doing shows where I'm putting people on the air. That's a lot better with that than it is on the Windows side. But
yeah, and obviously Station Playlist doesn't work for the Mac. You have to have Windows to use that.
Exactly.
Now, if you were to explain to a total newbie what Station Playlist is, how would you explain it?
Okay, so Station Playlist, it's been around for a long time, and there are several components to it for both live broadcasting and for automation purposes. It is software that is designed for broadcasting. And it supports pretty much most aspects you would want, from proper crossfading to title streaming to just many things you can customize for broadcasting purposes, like volume levels for music beds. There's many automation features that are supported, so it is software that it's designed for broadcasting.
So when no one is on the station, do you just have Station Playlist just running music that do you pre-program that, or is that music that it just picks on the fly?
No, so that is done. We have somebody. We actually have a dedicated person running automation, and that is we use Studio for that, but Station Playlist Creator, we have that set up to run the automation as well as certain shows during certain times that are pre-recorded. So that is all programmed.
That actually leads me into my next question. So last Thursday morning before my show started playing, what was I hearing? Was that automation, or was somebody actually on, or was that a pre-recorded show that was playing? What was I hearing?
So in your case, it was a live show that we had on Server 1.
Oh, on Server 1. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
I felt really bad. Like, I thought, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not interrupting someone else's show. I felt really bad.
No, because we have 2 servers, because we've had so many DJs that...
Okay, so I guess maybe I was listening to the wrong server, maybe.
No, the way it's set up is that when the server 1 can sometimes... Server 2 can hear server 1 when there's nobody else on, but then when somebody goes live on server 2, then it takes over for that server. So it's kind of integrated in certain ways, so that way it's just, it's an interesting, we have an internal setup. That took a while to really get perfected, and I think there's still needs to make it even better, but
for most people, or I should say, for people like me who pre-record their show, and they send them to you most of the time, you just put them in automation, and then you just have them scheduled to play, at that certain time, certain days.
So server 1 shows we can put in automation. Server 2 shows I have to usually play those, but that's, interestingly enough, that's another feature time when audio hijack can come in handy, because if I need to still use my Windows computer, so I can run a show on one of my Macs if I need to with no problems. So.
Now,
it's a little command center over here in this office. Let me tell you.
Now, when you use Windows, are you using NVDA or are you a JAWS user?
I use JAWS. That works the best with Station Playlist, including and I also use the JAWS scripts that Brian Hartman has. And
yes, shout out to Brian.
Yep. So yes, I definitely I use JAWS all the way, and that's what I recommend to people, because you can do some extra functionality with the scripts, such as find out how long is your playlist, how much time you have left.
Yes. Yep.
Things like that. So
now, how long? So when you start a show, do you just leave it playing, like on, say you're using a Mac? Do you just leave it playing on the Mac, or do you have to monitor it in any way?
Playing, but I come back, to monitor it, and I usually set a reminder towards the end to know that I need to come deal with it. So
now, if people want to learn about the station in questions we haven't asked here, how do you suggest people do that?
You can go to 986themix.com, and if you explore the site, you'll find a lot of information there. And then you can also write to management at 986themix.com for any additional questions.
And that'll go to you?
It goes to the management team, myself, and Jared Weimer. I'm usually the one that monitors it or sees it first, but one of us will respond to you.
And then my other question is, if someone wants to join the mix, what kind of stuff do you take, and what is like optimal configuration?
So like in terms of because we've kind of taken people at all sorts of different levels over the years. So ideally, I'd say the most optimal way to broadcast is with Station Playlist, but we've had several Backpack Studio users,
myself included. Yes.
Yep.
Simply because I don't have the ability to run Station Playlist right now. So
exactly. So we have that. We've had people in the past use Winamp. So, it just, we do our best to work with people on what they have, and if they have something that, we do our best to try to work with the person individually.
And obviously on the Mac, audio hijack is pretty much the only way to do it.
You'll need audio hijack, and then you'll need either either your music collection, or you'll need a music service like Apple Music and Spotify, or Spotify rather, because those will support title streaming, so that people can still see it's being played. So the advantage of a music service is, well, you have access to its entire library. The disadvantage, though, is that it's not as easy to customize, like when it comes to because music service, for instance, won't have the jingles and stuff like that, so you kind of have to do some interesting juggling if you want to be able to play jingles and whatnot. So that's the trade-off, is how it's going to affect how you sound. Whereas Station Playlist, well, I wish it had support for third-party music services. Oh, that would be beautiful, but
they don't support that?
No, they do not. So you have to bring in your own music.
Now, and obviously with Backpack, you can't use streaming services either.
Exactly.
Because of the DRM protection in the music.
Yeah.
So if you're using Backpack, you pretty much have to own the music you play.
You do, yes.
Now, for those also who are coming at this new, how do the archives work when they're archiving shows?
We, depending on your ability, you can either upload your archives if you want. I mean, some people don't bother with archives at all. It just depends on the person. But generally, most people do. And, if you can either upload your archives, so if you're not comfortable with doing that, then, we can work with you, and you get us the archives, and we'll take care of it, so.
Unless Thomas has any questions, Herbie, I would like to personally thank you for doing this.
You're most welcome.
I have certainly enjoyed this. And Thomas, do you have any questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, I do. So, if you don't mind, when we're done, I had to unfortunately reinstall Backpack because the pad's not out of order. So I was wondering if you would not mind just helping me reload the server information in before you get off.
Oh, we can do that, but I thought you were pre-recording anyway.
Well, I know, but just in case, like if we ever want to test it out.
Well, I was gonna do some testing out on my end to see if I can figure out. But yeah, we can definitely go over the server information again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Herbie, I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure speaking with you.
And
guys, you can tune in. I almost forgot this. You guys can tune into my show each and every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Herbie, thank you so much for letting me have a show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
And Herbie, you want to tell him one more time when you're on?
Every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Central, 6 Pacific.
All right. YouTube, thank you for watching this, and we will talk to y'all next week. Bye!